Hi, today we're going to take a look at using a palette knife with the water mixable oil paints. This is something I've not done too much of myself. I'm used to using them with brushes, so I thought it'd be good to have a quick practice with a palette knife. So it's not a very long painting, it just took me about half an hour altogether. And the main thing I think really is to get used to how much pressure you need to apply to the palette knife to leave the paint on your board rather than scraping it off. But then of course you use the scraping off technique as well when you want to go back to the board underneath. So the one I'm using is a Winsor and Newton one, and that's really going to depend on how flexible your knife is as to how much pressure you're going to be putting on there, and of course how much paint you've got on your knife as well. So I've done it quite thickly and quite impasto, and I chose a cockeral to do because it's got nice bright colours really. So I will list all the colours I used in the description below. I've used quite a few colours, I'll just show you him. So that's him finished, or like I say, just a half an hour quick practice with them really. So not a lot of detail in him at all, you can't really see much in the way of his face and things. So just wanted to get some colours down and enjoy applying the paint with the knife really. So that's just on a nice piece of cardboard which I've put a gesso on, so this is how we began, just a stiff cardboard, a little bit bigger than A4 isn't it, and it's got just one layer of gesso on, and I've not had to tape it down or anything, and it's kept quite rigid, and even though it's got quite a lot of paint on it there. So you can see it's left quite thick and quite impasto, so it will take quite a while to dry. Now, so a lot of people have this misconception that the water mixable oil paints are like the acrylics regarding drying times and things. They're not. They still contain oil, so they're still going to take a long time to dry, so please bear that in mind. If you can buy fast drying mediums, and if you use them more thinly with more water they do dry quicker, but then you lose the sort of vibrancy of the colours then, so it's nice to use them quite thickly. So you'll see as the video goes on when I'm doing this, I don't actually use much water at all apart from this first layer to thin the paint down. Other than that it's pretty thick, and I'm just using the water sometimes to make the paint move a little bit more or to wash my brushes, but really it's just the paint. So the painting behind me wasn't using a palette knife, that was all water mixable oil paints. The reason I use them mostly is because of the solvents. I don't want to use the solvents, and you can still get those nice effects that you do with the traditional oils. You can still use the linseed oil with them, but again that increases the drying time. So that was all with brushes, there's no palette knife work on there. But using quite a limited palette, there's only about 5 colours in there. In fact, yeah, there's 5 colours in there. So just getting to know your colours and seeing what you can do with the colours. So it's all new to me really. I don't use oils too much. You'll notice that I use a lot of watercolour and ink and that kind of thing in the mixed media, but I do enjoy using these oil paints. So I'll come back and do more videos on them, and I quite enjoy doing this little cockerel. So I'll let you watch the rest of the video, let me know what you think, and if you've got these oil paints, have a go. Get something nice and bright to have a go with your palette knife. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.